Hi, welcome. I'm TJ Luffler, and I'm here to help you find fulfillment. But before I get into it, I want to make sure that you're the right person. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. The people that I am most aligned in helping are people who are high earners, young inheritors. Maybe you're in your late 20s, 30s, sometimes even 40s. And you are in a place in your life where you're saying, I'm empty, I'm stuck, I'm trying to find out my God given identity, not just something in knowledge, but something in understanding. And I'm lacking some confidence and clarity. I don't have any understanding of how to navigate my awakening, whether it's this big life decision or whether it's just languishing because I've got a whole mount of history that I'm now starting to realize is in front of me. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to take my life on my own trajectory that God has given me. I know that God's given me a purpose. I know that He's given me a plan, but I don't even know what that means because I've been in the church setting. I maybe have been in counseling and I find some things validated, but I really can't get momentum. I can't get over the hump. There's something that I'm missing. If that's you, and you are asking the question, there has to be more, right? Well, then I'll tell you, you're in the right place. I want you to stick around till the end because I'm going to walk you through the steps that I walk people through in my 8-week boot camp called Live Your Legacy, because you can't leave a legacy you're not living. I'm going to walk you through the steps that I walk them through, the seeds and keys that I give them that are going to help you. And now this has been a part of my journey. I'll share a little bit about that transformation, but I want you to stay till the end so that you can hear the rest of the story and how this has helped hundreds of other people in your situation. Now, if you're looking for more peace, direction, purpose, and confidence, not just in what you're doing, okay, I used to find a lot of confidence in the money I was making, and maybe it was me working on Wall Street in a prestigious job. I had a promotion in front of me. But you know what? I was finding my confidence in those external things and it wasn't working. Then when I started coaching, finding some success in this business and ministry, I started realizing, wow, this is actually something I can find confidence in and my identity in. And while that's a part of identity, it's not the whole thing. And I had to really get to the root of the cracks in my own character foundation to find confidence in my being. And that's where you want to be too. I know it. And I'm sure that you're looking for clarity. I've done a whole workshop on the 4 steps of clarity after spending over 10,000 hours with people. And that's not an exaggeration, helping them discover clarity. And that's something that you can watch too, if you'd like to. But for the purposes of right here, right now, you're here because you want these things, but it's probably because you're experiencing inner conflict, unrest, maybe a lack of focus on the right things, feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you have this sense that something's missing. You have a quiet insecurity. Other people might see you as confident even, but you're going, well, I don't necessarily see myself as they see me. That's a common thing for a lot of people who are high performing, high achieving. And, you might experience a lot of frustration from cycles that you're living in. And these are patterns of behaviors that you have to walk through. And one of the things that we do in the boot camp is we look at your past and the patterns that are broken. You cannot continue forward in clarity and freedom if you do not understand first the patterns that are broken. So if this is you, I want you to know that you're in the right place. And I'll leave you with this quote just for encouragement, if nothing else, that nobody has ever become somebody by not overcoming anything. In scripture, we know that the testing of our faith produces steadfastness. And so you're in a test right now and you have the choice to change. You have the choice to change. And I'm going to help you figure out where your choices are and what you're able to do, what's within your control to change. But first, you have to recognize you have the choice to change. And so everybody's got to overcome something, no matter what kind of privilege you were born into. Everybody's got to overcome something. And this is your choice to change. And this is your test of your faith. And the question is, are you going to do it? And I believe you are. And that's why you're here. But before we get to it, before I dive into more of the steps, the keys, the seeds that I'm going to plant, the keys I'm going to give you, I want to first talk about this. Plain and simple, you are in good company. I have been coaching privately for the last 8 years, full time. I left my job on Wall Street. I'll get to my story. God called me into coaching. It's something that I see not just as a career, but also a purpose in my life. One purpose. You can have many purposes. But you are in good company. I have worked with some people for as long as 6 years now. And some people I just work with throughout those 8 weeks in the boot camp. And then they graduate and I still hear from them. I still have friendship. I still have relationship with a lot of people I work with. But I want you to know that this process that I'm going to be sharing at the end of this video, where you learn some of the keys and some of the seeds that can be used in your life, that can grow in your life. This has worked for other people. Reed's an accomplished young inheritor who is about to leave his job on Wall Street before he confronted that inner conflict I was talking about and reestablished some confidence through a focus on health, healing, and following his calling. Oddly enough, he ended up now where he was going to leave Wall Street completely. He ended up now going to work with his dad and carry on a legacy, in something that he was going to turn away from completely. He made a 180. And that actually happened back in August 2018. There was this revelation. I need to go back into the industry that I was leaving, that I was going to run from. And then over the course of the next couple of years, opportunity opened up to work with his family. And all of this was connected, as I'm sure you can imagine. And it's something that he feels a sincere desire, passion, and calling in. And there's a whole story about Reed you can read about. But I just want you to see this just in particular of like, one, this is someone who I'm inspired by. He has become a good friend of mine. But this inside out change that can happen through the renewing of your mind does actually take shape in a physical way. And just as a practical here, that we did a actual personal branding day for Reed a couple times now, but this was the first one we did. I believe it was back in 2020. And we went out and he said, I had so much change happening inside me. I wanted the external to match the internal me. And we'll talk about the version 2.0, who you're becoming and how important that is as a part of the vision for your life and where you're going. But he wanted that external change to match the internal change that had been happening. And so that happened physically through, not just, oh, let's go pick a few clothes, but there was actually some thought process and there was like a branding process that happened as a part of his journey. And I'll never forget the text message that he sent me, and actually ended up being my brother-in-law, who's an incredible creative, and he styled the whole personal branding day. And he said he was on his way home on the subway, and he was getting emotional because of how impactful it was that he could visually see some of the change that had been happening for years already in the making. So something really powerful there for you to just walk away with. Now, I have a bunch of other stories here, and I'm not going to dig into them, but what I want you to know is that other people have this intersection that you might be facing, where there's this career, there's this spiritual, there's this personal intersection of a lot of things happening, awakenings happening. And it's like, where do I even begin? It's all kind of cloudy. I don't even know how to make sense of it. And, Blair was an example. And I actually share a little bit with some of the story here, in the sense that I'm not speaking for Blair, but I personally had, a lot of failed romantic relationships, even though some of them were very long-term. And I say multi-year, like long-term. And so when it came to even getting married, and now I'm married and I have twins, and praise God for those types of things happening. But, 10 years ago, that didn't even seem like a possibility. And I was so stuck in my own stuff. It just seemed like it was really defeating to even think about romantic relationship flourishing. But through the process of healing and through some of the things that you can be learning, through some of the things that you can be doing in the inside out change that can happen within you, okay, not controlling other people, and, none of this law of attraction stuff that truthfully is not biblical, but you take control of what's within your control. And that is you, that is within you, and the change that you can do. And you'd be surprised at what happens and the relationships that enter into your life, as somebody who's been there and walked with other people through that process. And I'm going to unlock this Facebook video as well. But Elizabeth Lisdown, an amazing person, so bubbly, so full of life. She has an incredible story, but, she navigated her journey through boot camp. And one of the things I remember her saying was just how impactful it was getting to the root. And that's really something that I find important, because a lot of people go through church or counseling or, even other coaching, they've told me, and they never really get to the root. It's a lot of surface level stuff. But my whole focus and what we do is really getting to the root for sustained change over time. I'd rather focus on fewer things and get to the root than a lot of things and never really sustain anything. So, for her and uncovering blind spots, this is not just her story, but many other people's stories, as they realize, well, there's this life that I have that I really want to have, but for whatever reason, I want to run from it. And once you actually gain a new perspective, have a renewed mindset, you start to see that your circumstances may not change, but you do. And that actually changes how you feel about your circumstances and even how you behave in those relationships, in your job, and in other things. So it's really important to understand that, a lot can change without changing anything. And that's an inside out change that I think is really important. Now, this is just an example of another story of Hannah, who was actually in a high performing sales role, and she left everything and began her entrepreneur journey. But that doesn't always happen to be the case with everybody. Sometimes you don't have to leave everything, and sometimes maybe you do. But the point is, it's not about the external thing so much as it is the change within you. And this is just a picture from an event that I did on a tour. It was a house tour I did around the country with clients, and it was really fun. We got to do really intimate speaking type seminar opportunities. And Libby, been a longtime friend and client even, but top realtor. She went from burned out, and she was empty, and many people experience this type of thing when they're high earning and they're really driven to perform and achieve, but they're missing that identity piece. And now, and we still have these conversations, but she's thriving, and a big part of that is being at peace in the process of knowing her priorities, true priorities, and understanding, not just knowing, but understanding her God-given identity and finding security in those things. So just some stories that I wanted to share with you. Those are like the more written up stories, but there's plenty more that I try to share in some of these highlights, at least on my Instagram. There's a few here. Adelaide, longtime friend and client, said boot camp was one of the most powerful things that she's ever done. There's Liz Dowen, her own words. Jenna, good friend, she's actually a coach and coaches in the career space. This is a message I got from somebody who said that we've been working together for 3 years now, and they were so grateful for our relationship. We have long-term relationships with people. And I'm sharing all of this because I want you to know that this is my approach when trying to find people that are the right fit. It's not just, do you think this is the fit for you? It's also, do I think this is the fit for me and us? Because if it's not going to be successful. And I want it to be successful for you. And if you're watching, if you're reading, if you're paying attention, you're going, wow, this actually is the type of place that I would like to be, where it's not, hundreds of thousands of people and just a quick touch point and move on. It's like depth, in-depth transformation, real relationship, authentic conversation. There's Libby. She's sharing a little bit about her story. If that's something that you value, okay, then I think you're going to truly value the opportunity to have a phone call together. Anyway, more things that I could share, but I'll leave it there. And you can go through if you'd like to on my Instagram. What I wanted to quickly touch on next was just my story. I'm not going to go through all the details, but on the left, you'll see there was me on Wall Street. I was making great money. I had outward success. I had a great career, but I was empty, burned out, missing purpose. I was lacking peace about my direction. I was definitely living a double life, and I was unhappy with the person I was becoming. Over the course of 10 years where I was born again, I got empowered with the Holy Spirit, fire of God came on me, coaching started to accelerate. I had tried to find my identity still in my work I was doing, which is only a piece of your identity, but God came in and really laid the foundation and helped me gain healing. He helped me get this wholeness that a lot of people are missing, and that's the foundation for true security. And so he did that through a lot of different ways, and I can talk about that more in depth, if we're ever on a phone call and you want to learn about that. But he met me through healing, through deliverance, through actually coaching I've received, counseling I've received. I took my health journey very, very seriously. After watching my dad die in 2017, I started to have a health awakening. I started implementing that into all the coaching I do. I'm very adamant about health as a foundation. That's one of the keys that I'll show you about. But guess what? Here I am in 2024. Praise God. I have a wife, beautiful wife. I have 2 beautiful girls. Money, great career. By the way, I lost money twice in that whole process because I had quiet habits and toxic things that it needed to be addressed. But praise God, debt-free, have money, great career, outward success, you could call it, right? But more important, what's the internal thing happening? Fulfilled, free, living with purpose, at peace with myself, confident in the Lord and the person that I'm becoming. And that is something that is so important if you're listening, that you find confidence in the person that you're becoming. And I know that each person who is listening, I know that each person that I talk with, that is their truest desire, no matter what is happening. And I believe that that can happen. I'm going to show you some steps, some keys, some clues, some things that are going to help you. Now, how are we going to get you from point A to point B? Point A being where you were coming into this call, coming into this session, coming into this video, where you're saying, man, I'm languishing. I'm in a place where I'm stuck. I need to make a change now. I'm confused about a lot of different things, or maybe one thing. I have big life decisions. I'm at a turning point. I'm feeling a lack of confidence. I don't know where to go. And I just want to have more peace with the person I'm becoming, direction and clarity. And I want to feel momentum again. I want to get unstuck. And those are some things I'd like to be feeling. Well, we can actually make that change happen, believe it or not. But it's going to first start with not the tactics, which is where a lot of people think it starts. It's not even the strategy. The first step is your mindset, because truly the change that you want to make, 80% of it comes from your mindset, 15% from strategy, and 5% from tactics, assuming you have the right mindset. All of these things should just flow, be an overflow from that renewed mind. Remember Romans 12:2, you can be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, then why don't we focus on the mind? And here's most people's problem is they've developed an unhealthy relationship with control. What do I mean? Well, in order to go from point A to point B, we need to have a vehicle to get you there. That vehicle is your mindset. But what kind of mindset, or what kind of vehicle are you in? Most people are in the motorboat, type A, high achieving, high earning. These are people who are in full control of their life until the gas runs out. And then they go, oh my gosh, that's not reality. I must be living in the raft where I have no control of anything. They experience loss, they experience some kind of defeat, discouragement, whatever it might be. Then they go, I must not have control of anything. And that is the lie they're susceptible to believing. But that's also not true, because God has given us an ability, a will in our soul. The will sits in the soul, the ability to make a choice. And so therefore, the best vehicle to get us from point A to point B is actually the sailboat. That's the truth, and the truth will set you free. And when you understand this relationship with control, this mindset to have, this vehicle to live in, to get from point A to point B, from the place you are today to the place you want to be, that you are not in control of the wind, but you are in control of the sails, when to put them up, when to put them down, and what direction you're going. That's very empowering. Now, I'm going to show you how we empower you throughout the 8 weeks through the steps that I'm about to walk you through. Here are the steps I'm going to walk you through throughout the 8 weeks. And every single person who's gone through boot camp has walked through these steps. And these are things that I've personally experienced throughout my journey. As I just mentioned, some of the things that I've been through, some of the difficulties that I'd experienced, whether it was loss of money, I mean, multiple 6 figures, multiple times, starting over again, losing my dad, having to figure out how to start over with my health, being burned out. There were so many different aspects that I had to address myself. And so for you, I know that there's different things that you might be going through, but every single person who's going through boot camp is experiencing that same desire for root level change to build their life from a foundation that can last. And so these 6 steps are going to help you do that. Now, foundation, vision, self-assessment, identity, purpose, and action. There are principles within each section, and we're going to walk through each of these sections throughout the 8 weeks. And there's going to be an underlying or foundation of health that I'm going to be teaching you. And so the health as a function of your mindset is so important. That's why I put it at the bottom, because no matter what topic we're talking about, health is relevant. You're going to have a specific daily rhythm that you're going to be able to follow. Very simple, very repeatable. People have said if they get nothing else from boot camp, the 3x3, which is the process I'm going to give you, the evening and morning rhythm or routine that I'm going to give you, they say the 3x3 is the thing that they come back to over and over and over again, and it helps them so much. I've used it myself. I developed it out of my own life experiences. So I'm going to start you off with the 3x3, and that's going to get you off on the right foot. The first week, we're going to just do a welcome and an intro and help you understand kind of what to expect to set your intention. And then we jump into foundation. Foundation is where we talk about your mindset. And I'm going to be specifically addressing how to think of the idea less is more in a practical way. So what that can look like for you as you go throughout the 8 weeks and the rest of your life. In the vision series, step 2, we're going to be talking about the idea of the person you're becoming and how that can apply to decisions you're making right now. So the person you're becoming that God's made you to be in 5 years, with exercises to help you think through that, and how that can apply to decisions you're making right now. This is something that people get so confused about, especially vision. They get lost, they get stuck, they overthink it. And honestly, it's as simple as getting prophetic understanding from the Lord, getting true Holy Spirit confirmation, and even some practical questions that are going to help you start thinking about it in a new way, that can help you start applying the idea of who you're becoming to decisions you have to make today. Then step 3, self-assessment. This is self-inventory. There's a binoculars assessment. It's really helpful. Some people have had total transformation and freedom just through going through that one exercise that I'll be showing you. Step 4, identity. This is one that you cannot overlook. The principles of identity are something that people talk about but don't understand. I'm going to explain to you identity for real life, meaning how you see yourself and how that can be shaped and transformed with the Lord or without. And trust me, you want to do it with the Lord. He gives us choices, right? He says, choose life or death, blessing or curse. I want to be perceiving myself in a way that gives blessing, not curse, to my life, or life, not death, to my life. And I know that that's what you desire too. And so in Identity series, we're really going to be going through your past, identifying broken patterns and allowing the Lord to heal that, and allowing the Lord to show you what the straight paths that he wants you to walk in are, what the patterns that he wants you to walk in are. And those get really practical. I mean, we're not just talking church talk or theoretical or even frameworks that you might find in a counseling setting, although those are available. And I think you'll find some of the exercises helpful. We're talking sincere, like this is going to challenge you to rise up to the occasion, to the person God's made you to be. And because of the format that we're doing it in this coaching setting, you're not really going to have a choice but to confront that opportunity and say yes or say no. Remember, this is a test, right? This is a test of your faith, and God's calling you to be somebody that you might not be currently. And this is going to be a test for you to see how are you going to respond. There might be some hard conversations you need to have. There might be some other things that happen, but it's going to be important. It's going to be life-changing for some people. Next step, purpose. We're bringing it all together, how to make purpose practical. And I show you how you can have multiple purposes in life. And this was something that was very difficult for me to understand back when I was struggling with this question myself. But over the years, I've learned how to really simplify it for other people and get to the core of really what you need to know without making it so difficult. And in a biblical sense, the purpose of man is to glorify God, and it's really hard to glorify God when you take control of everything. So back to the sailboat analogy or the motorboat, really, you can't really glorify God if you're the one who can take credit for everything, living in your own motorboat, so to speak, in life, right? So there is an element here of learning how to let go and trust God in certain areas where he might be asking you to trust him, and seeing in that act of faith, by controlling the things that are within your control and allowing him to take control of those things that aren't, seeing your faith bring fruit to life, and being motivated and encouraged by that. And a lot of people see that happen within the 8 weeks. And the next step, 6, action. This is just your strategy. I mean, if you want to sustain anything, you got to understand what kinds of things that you need to be doing. And, if you bring your car that's broken into the mechanic shop, mechanic can fix it, but who has to keep maintenance on it? You do. So, the idea here is that we're going to be teaching you how to keep maintenance on the car, so to speak, and how you can be thinking about your strategy leaving boot camp. And we finish out the 8 weeks with a review to help you kind of understand all the different shifts that you've experienced, what kinds of changes you saw, facts and feelings. A lot of people enjoy doing that because they get to see not just the feelings that they experience and improved in their life experience, their day-to-day experience, their mindset renewal, but also the facts and things that they actually saw change throughout the 8 weeks because of their courageous action, because of the accountability, because of the coaching, and all these things. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of health as a foundation. transformation throughout all of this. And these are the steps that I walk people through throughout Boot Camp Live Your Legacy. I believe it's going to be something that if you decide this is a path that I want to take, this is going to be something that will benefit you the rest of your life. I've had people message me from 2019, it's currently 2024, from 2019 saying, I still go back to my notebook, because you'll have a notebook that you're going to be using in tandem with the guides that you have to go throughout the 8 weeks. Still go back to my notebook from 2019 almost monthly, and I'm still learning things and things that are still relevant for me now. So I think if you're in this process of saying, I want to go from point A to point B, I'm showing you the process of how we do it, how we take people there. And I'm also showing you the principles that we're teaching, some of the principles, and you can do this yourself. And I can, encourage you to say, okay, well, yeah, sit down and write a vision for who you're becoming, do a quick self-assessment, understand what are you missing? There are blind spots there. You might need some help identifying. Gain understanding in your identity. I know that there's a lot of sermons around identity. I know that there's a lot of podcasts around identity. If that's working for you, you can keep doing it. But ultimately, now you have to make a choice for yourself, purpose and action and all these things. You have to make a choice for yourself. And option A is continue doing what you've been doing. And that may be seeking out mentors, having coffee conversations. I would encourage you, the why seek the counsel of many. I would encourage you to continue doing things like that. Talk with your pastor, talk with people who've been through the journey that are in your family. But the question is that really working? And for most people that I end up working with, the answer is no. And that's why they choose option B. And that's working with me, working with my team, working together, and really saying, you know what, I'm gonna hold the mirror up to myself here. And I'm going to say, I'm up for the challenge. And I really want to invite the Lord in the entire process. I know that he can do it. And you know what, TJ, if you've walked through the wilderness and you've helped other people walk through the wilderness, let's do it. Be my jungle guide. And I would love to, if everything that I'm sharing is resonating with you, if you say, you know what, this makes total sense for me. I'm identifying with a lot of the things that you're saying and experiences you've had and other people have had. And I think it could work for me. Then let's get on a phone call if we're not already scheduled. But by now, if you're watching and you're still kind of like, I'm not really ready to choose option B, I'm still kind of like, let me just figure this out on my own. I would say if you do have a phone call scheduled, cancel it, because it is not worth your time if you're not ready. This is a time right now where you have to make the decision for yourself. If I'm ready, then it's time to choose option B. And that means just getting on the phone and us having a no pressure conversation, you, myself, or you with my team, and having that no pressure conversation when we talk a little bit more about it, get clear on any details that maybe weren't clear to you. But remember for yourself that this is a challenge for you right now. The time that you're in, I've been at the crossroads. I've been at the starting over. I've been at the inflection points. I've had the identity crisis multiple times over. And I can tell you that it is an opportunity. It is a challenge for you. I know you'll rise up to the occasion, and I'm here to help you if you would like that help from me. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. And if we are scheduled for a call, I look forward to speaking.